And we're going to start our webinar now. Just like to again welcome our YouTube viewers and our Zoom viewers. We're back again. Thank you for joining us for our bi-weekly webinars. We're continuing with our PPM Express sessions. Hopefully you're all finding this content valuable. Again, we're keeping this down to 30 minutes, not to take too much time away from from your busy days. Just to have my PPM Express workshop screen back on. And today we're going to be diving in and looking at resource management and how effective and easy it is to plan and manage your resources in PPM Express. Alex, our subject matter expert, will be covering this material in a moment. I just want to go through a few sort of housekeeping items. We do have our workshops listed all on our webpage, and I will include this link in the chat. Although we have today's workshop, which is Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, and they're always on Wednesdays. They're actually every other Wednesday. And you can look to subscribe to all of them here, and they're going to run all the way through November 2nd. And of course, this is just this particular series of webinars. We will continue and bring other content to you also. And if you missed anything, the replays are here, but they're also on our YouTube channel. Again, I'm going to leave a link for our YouTube channel. There's a playlist here, which is the PPM Express webinar replay, and you can click and you'll be able to find all our previous webinars on here. Again, if you miss any content, feel free to come back here. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure you remember to press the little bell when you subscribe, then you'll be notified every time we go live. Now, the other item that I wanted to cover is the free trial, right? So typically we do offer a free trial PPM Express, but for a limited time, what we're doing, since our webinars are actually longer than 30 days, we're offering the free trial for the duration of the webinar series. Again, I'm going to leave the link in the chat for you, and what you'll be able to do by entering the link, you'll be directed into a page similar to this, and here you can easily activate your free trial by simply using your Office 365 credentials, or you can use your Gmail account also to log into the free trial by clicking on a Google button. Or if you don't want to use your Google or Office 365 and just activate with any email address, you can go ahead and do so by choosing the email option. Again, I'm going to leave all the links in the chat, so don't want to really stand between you and the valuable content. We do have a lot to cover. I think this is a very exciting and definitely something that everyone is really looking forward to, at least a lot of our clients do. Resource management is always on top of everyone's list. So again, without further ado, here's Alex, and he's going to be covering Resource Management PPM Express. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Yuri, for the intro, and welcome everyone who's watching this. Thank you for your time to take a look at our webinar series and the specific topic here, which is resource management. Let me start sharing my screen. This will stop. Yes, stop. Let me share my screen. Yuri, can you see my?
Yes, I can. You're good to go.
Okay, good. All right. So the resource management is probably #1 challenge for any given PMO out there, and No wonder that it's probably the hardest to implement, not just from from the technical perspective, but also from the organizational change perspective. And I think this is what makes the PPM Express is probably unique tool on the market that will give you the flexibility to work with all kinds of tools out there and still be able to kind of pull all the resources together into one resource pool. So we do have a lot of videos about projects and portfolios, and I'm going to dive right into the resources piece. And if you look at the screen here, we have this resource link. I'm going to dive right in there. And this will basically give us access, based on my permissions, obviously, will give us access to all the resources that we have. And we have generic resources, and we have work resources, and some of these resources are pulled from Active Directory, right? And some of these resources are pulled from Jira or from Azure DevOps or from Monday.com. So we do have now integrations with all of those great tools. One additional things I'd like to share here is that would be like if we are to add an additional resource, so we can either create one by manually, right, add a new resource, or we can pull it up from the import resources, and we can pull it up from Office 365, Active Directory, Jira, Azure DevOps, Project Online, Monday.com, and other API services also may become available. So that's kind of a sweet side of the PPM Express, to be able to integrate with all of those systems very, very seamlessly. So when we do have our resource pool organized, and we do have all sorts of tags and linked systems and additional metadata, I'm just going to dive into one of those so you can see what kind of additional information. So you can see here on this screen, you can see on the email status, type, role, tags, and linked system. I'm going to dive into one of those resources. Let me actually dive into the other one, Berg. So this resource, Michael Berg, has different assignments. You can even take a quick glance into some of these assignments, and I can click on it. It will get me to this specific resource assignment. It will also, and this is probably where we're going to spend a lot of time today, most of the time today, actually, on this utilization, component here, where we can see which projects Michael is assigned to, right? And how he's assigned to, whether he's over or under allocated. We're going to look at that. We keep scrolling down. We can determine whether it's organizationally 8 hours a day that Mark is when Michael is working on, or we can basically set up our own, type of schedule. Maybe say on Mondays he's available only 4 hours a day, every Monday, right? Or such things like that. I'm gonna keep it organization wide. Calendar exceptions. Michael went on vacation. He's planning to go on vacation, right? So you can set up all his time off so that his capacity will drop at the time when he would set up the time expected hours zeros, or maybe he's going to work half time, right? So you can create all kinds of exceptions here. Additional information, whether it's work resource, active, not active, assigned role, yada yada yada, right? All kinds of rates, overtime rates are also set up here, and this is kind of base rates that we can start with. But I'll walk you through some other things that we involved in. We're working with the resource, but that's kind of looking at it from the one resource perspective, right? And we're building this resource pool based on the information we know, and then this information here kind of being fed from other projects. So I can open this one project, for example, here. Let me just do that. I'm going to open this one project, and this is the project that this person happened to be assigned on. And I'm going to look at this project resource plan. I'm going to scroll down. So here I have all my other project attributes and information like quick timeline, quick statuses, some key dates, some sprint 1, sprint 3, you know, some dates, and here are some additional links to other stuff here, all kinds of, you know, other things that we cover in other webinars. I'm going to collapse many of those. I'm just going to dive all the way through my there you go, resource plan, right? So the resource plan for this project, so here's Michael Berg, right? That's his assignments on this project. There are other people assigned to this project too, and that's basically, as soon as I add, you know, let me just add another 100 hours in December, right? I'm going to simply say 100 hours. Oops, right? This resource is over allocated. Now, if I mouse over this, it's going to tell me that I am over allocating this resource by 74 hours. Right? It's already right away, real time, giving me the insight as to allocating the 100 hours for December would over allocate this resource. And I need to go back and maybe, okay, so maybe I need to assign only 26 hours, right? If I assign, instead of 100, I assign 20, say 27, right? 27, right? It should be over 1 hour over, like, right? If I assign 26, 26, that should not give me any problems. And this is how I'm gonna add this 26 hours from December. But basically, if I go back to this resource, and I don't have to go back through like resources and then find that person, I can simply click right into this resource name and get to the same Michael Berg dashboard and look at those 26 hours I just added, right, to that resource. So my point is that all this information is all integrated and connected, right? If you assign the resource from the project, or you assign the resource from assign those hours, you know, from the actual resource. And there's also like organizational view, which we're going to look in a second, and that will allow us to manage these numbers. Let's actually go and do that. So if I go back to my resource pool, I would like to use this feature called planning and utilization. If I click on the planning and utilization, I'll be able to see all my resources and their respective assignments. If I just blow this up a little bit, I can see everybody's assignments. But this is kind of a little messy, but this is basically like everybody's assignments. This may be pretty lengthy list. So you may ask, well, how do I organize this differently? I can, collapse it again and maybe work on these resources one by one, or I can group the whole thing, not resource by resource basis, but I can group this is by project. So now I'll be able to look at this from project perspective. I can look at some of these projects and see some of these problems, which are highlighted here, that are telling me that I'm over allocating some of these resources. Some of these are under assigned. Some of these assignments, like, really giving us a lot of problems, right? We're 79 hours over allocated on this specific project for this specific resource. So you can go ahead and address the situation. So this is just the way to manage this from the resource management perspective, and then from the project management, resource management perspective. So you can have and empower each individual project manager to balance the resources within the same project, and have those resources more or less balanced, right? So if I were to, for example, open this one project and look at this grid of the assignments here, let me just give you a little bit of a tour as far as what kind of additional features we have here. So first and foremost, we have in this project Agile Project Integration, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different resources assigned to this project. Some of them are committed, some of them are proposed. That's negotiable between the PM and the resource manager. Okay. We also have some of these columns here. Let me just go through some of these columns. So we have a total plan. So that's basically the total planned hours throughout this project based on the hours assigned. What we also can do, we can configure columns here, and we can also say, if I click on that, we have all these additional columns that we have in our possession. We can add to this view and say, let's say that at the charge rate, this is the rate we're going to charge our customer, for this resource. In case this is the resource that we sell to our customer, this could be the case. In case we need to set up, in case not the charge rate, but a standard rate, right? And then look at the standard cost, for example. And let me just say, and I'm going to bring this and put the charge rate at the end. I can also very quickly change the sequence of this field. So that's very, very neat. So standard cost, standard rate. So basically what we're saying is, let me add another column here. That would be the estimated cost, right? Let me add an estimated cost. I'm just gonna remove the standard rate for, sorry, standard cost. So the standard cost is like a one-time thing. There we go. We have standard rate of 100 hours, $100, and then we have 601 for hours. That would equates to 61,000 estimated cost. So I do have all kinds of calculations already available to me. If I'm engaged into like dollars and cents and hourly estimates, I can bring up all these financials. I can say, let's change the charge rate. Charge rate for this project is going to be $50, right? And then you can change this, and this will automatically readjust the numbers. So what I do want to also bring up here is this grid. So this grid is very, very interesting, very, very powerful. So by default, so we looked at this, we can group it by resource and by project. So we know already what this is. Now, what type of information we're displaying here? By default, we're always displaying planned hours, right? So we're always displaying planned hours, and this is what we see, from the get-go here. What we don't see right away are those other types of numbers: actuals, availability, and capacity. Again, if I add the availability, so per each time, so I just added the availability, right? Per each time box, and right now we're looking at monthly. So for October, we have two columns per each month, right? For November, 2 columns. December, 2 columns. So what we have here, we have 70. In this case, if I look at Michael Berg, let me just go look at Michael Berg. Okay, and let me go and add availability. That's probably a cleaner way to show it. We have 2 columns per month, right? And we have available hours, 112. Let me actually add the capacity. So we get 3 columns per month, right? So we have the green one is planned, the blue diamond is availability, and square, gray square is the capacity. So say, let's look at October. So we have 168 hours total capacity in that month. We have available, we have 112 hours available, and we have 56 hours assigned, right? So let's just say if we assign, another 100 hours, that changes our capacity, available capacity. So 100 is, if I assign 168, we're basically at 0.5. But as soon as I start assigning 169, I'm going to be 1 hour over capacity, right? So that's kind of giving me this red indication of that. So what I wanted to really show you is this. So just add put it 100 here. Now let me just say, if I were to change some of these allocations and move, say, let me just get rid of the availability and capacity. So we are right now looking at this person assigned all this work in October, November, and some work in December, right? Some work is assigned in December. So what if we And this is for the agile project. Well, let's say, what if the agile project is delayed, right? What if we need to shift this allocation, say 20 days? We need to shift this whole allocation for this project for 20 days. If we, once we do shift it, we already see that there's a conflict because there's another project that this Kubernetes project is going to demand 150 hours, right? In December, and that's kind of giving you a live real-time insight. So you're gonna have to either go back and say can't do that, go back 20 days, right? I'm gonna go back minus 20 days and bring back to like the green state where nobody's over allocated, and then go back to this project manager and open that project, see who is the project manager, right? These are project manager. Marty Bird is project manager. Go to Marty Bird and negotiate Michael Berg's 150 hours, right, on that project. Maybe if I convince him to push this 30 days, I can do that. I can do that work, right? I can then move that one project. So that's kind of giving you very, very real-time access to everybody's allocations, to everybody's assignments. It's also becoming very easy to build allocations down the road. If I go back to Michael Berg and say, let me just bring the availability. So you can see that, for example, so you can see availability. So you can see that there's some available hours, 68 hours, and and 100. Where are the gray boxes, right? Availability, sorry, it's blue boxes, diamonds, 76, 78. So I can actually, I have some free capacity, and I can, bring another project and say, you know what, fill the gap. So set this plan. There's a magic wand here, and I can basically fill the gap for this project by assigning all the remaining work. I just did a big thing, right? I just had a lot of timeline, and I just filled the gap with hours just for this one project. But I can do that, and that does it very accurately, subtracting all the other hours for which that are already assigned to other projects. So say I had total 168 hours, and I had 100 hours already assigned to this project, so it took only 68 hours to assign to that project. But for those other months where this person gets off that project, starting from January, it's taking 176 hours, 160 hours of available capacity, and automatically assign it to that project, assign that resource to that project. You may want to ask, like, why would I have a difference between January hours and February hours? Because different amount of days, different amount of working days in those months. So therefore, there are different amount of hours in every month based on the available working hours, as well as based on that person's, exceptions, right? Remember, we have vacations going on, so that capacity drops also when we have an exception. Here, in this case, we have an exception in September. So if you look at the capacity in September, so September capacity 152 hours. Versus on average, you have like 168, 176, 176, 176, 160, 152 hours, which is the exception because we have like a vacation. So all of this information is, again, if you go back to the resources, you can come to your resource utilization and build that huge, either, from resource management perspective and assign, things to those resources, or you can look at it from the project portfolio management and resource balancing and look at which projects actually do have different allocations that are troublesome, that have basically red in there, I think we just cleared all the red. So here's the red, for example. How do we deal with that? So we can look and see that we're at 79 hours over allocated. Basically, if we subtract 79 hours, so I can do the math. I can simply start with 0. And then if I select these two, I can select a few cells. I can select these 2 months. So I can just click on this month and say set plan to use my Magic 1. It will automatically set 143 hours, exactly what is left based on my other allocations, and take my remaining capacity and just fill this up for that month. So one additional thing that I wanted to mention here is the actual. So there's, you can see that we also can add the actuals here, and the actuals are either filled up automatically, or we can have the users start filling out the actuals. A lot of times we have actuals coming from timesheets. So for every single project here, I'm just pick one project that I usually show this for. So if we do have this resource plan, okay, this is the project, Agile project integration, and we have these folks working on this project. I do have the timesheet, and I can look at all the aggregated values here. So as soon as I assign, as soon as I add, add time on my timesheet to my project, I can see all the actual work that is built here, and I can also have an option to link this actuals to the actual capacity. So I can then see, how my plan is actualizing comparing to what was originally, the plan, right? So we're planning this 33 hours for this resource to work on this project in October, but in reality, will that happen, right? And the only way to know, we know the future, right? The only way to know is to actually actualize this month and then go back and see how close the reality end up being to the actual plan, that we can compare and put side by side. And say, for example, if I were to put what we have here, in September, we have 2 hours. And for my timesheet, I make this, instead of 2 hours, I make it like 6 hours. I go back here, I refresh, scroll back down to my time, look at the aggregate of all the time, the aggregate hours. I see the 6 hours, it's popping up right away. So the point is that the PPM Express is so well versed in integration with all kinds of systems, and some of the major players out there already under the belt. So this is working really, really well, and I'm excited to share with you guys. I'm just going to explain this here so you can see the actual grid here. So obviously, all of this that I'm showing here is showing up and popping up in all of these numerous resource management reports, assignments, utilization. I think it just requires like a separate webinar to go through all the analytics that is available. But the important part, the most complicated part, is we have, in our consulting work, we have the saying to feed the beast, right? To feed the application with the right information. So this will feed the application with the right information, with the right planned hours, allocated hours, and then we can build great analytics using Power BI. So we're very much integrated with Microsoft here. We use Power BI as our go-to reporting solution, but from that point, you can either use Excel, you can use Tableau, you can use other analytical solutions. But the point is that the analytics is becoming available once you do have all this resource management done. All right, look, that's all I wanted to show today. I know we're up in as far as time. Do we have any questions or?
No, there are no questions, but one thing I did want to mention. Thank you, Alex. This was great session. And I know there are a number of attendees that joined us late. So one thing I did not mention is that we can also organize a personalized demo based on your specific situation. So I did include that link right to the scheduler right in the chat. For those of you watching on YouTube, it will also be included in the show notes down below. Again, we can even go beyond the demo and see, again, based on the specific situation, we could do what we call a hackathon, which is actually a proof of concept based on certain use cases where we would load up your own data and in literally in a span of 5 days, create a proof of concept to show you what this solution will actually look like in your environment, in your organization. So again, please contact us directly if you'd like to take advantage of that. The links are all in the notes. You can always call us. The contact forms are on the website. You can call us directly. The phone numbers are on the website also. And I think this was another great session. And again, these are every 2 weeks, Wednesday, 2 p.m. We will be sending out invites again. No questions at this point in the chat. So we are right on time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Alex. This was great.